Welcome to Inside Outcomes. I'm Jason Wheeler. I am over business development and client retention for the organization, and I am thrilled to be joined today with my friend and colleague, Ryan Murphy. Ryan is Vice President of Enterprise Claims Product for CorVel. Welcome to the show, Ryan. Good
Thanks,
to see
Jason.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to the conversation. We're going to dive in today. We talk a lot about outcomes in the industry, but let's take a deeper dive into what can produce those outcomes, going inside the outcomes. See what I did there?
Sounds good.
All right. So we're going to explore, what really changes the outcomes on a day-to-day basis. And those patterns that actually move the needle, they're not always obvious. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Someone like yourself who's been in the industry a number of years, been with CorVel, and tell us a little bit about yourself and your track and path to CorVel, and
Sure.
a little about your role with the company.
Sure. So went to school as a finance major. Thought for sure that I would be working in a bank or something like that.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to a small school in Western Illinois called Monmouth College.
Okay.
Yeah, so tiny school. Thought I was going to reinvent the world of finance, and didn't. Found myself working on a claim desk in 1998, and the rest is history. Went into account management, claims management here at CorVel, operations, and to product management today.
So when you say product management, give us a little detail on what that means for you and your role.
Sure. So essentially what we're trying to do is create products that build efficiencies within the claim system and within the claim management process, but also make sure that we are listening to client perspectives, what they need, what's in the market, and making sure that we stay up with trends and actually lead the market in some of the releases that we provide.
Listening to client perspectives, and I know in my role that's important, and that's I've heard it said it's the customers are the firewood for innovation. So
Sure.
Like what you said there, and completely agree. Now you do a little bit more than just the product side of things, which is a big task, I know. But maybe on the side, you have this little thing called CorVel University.
Yeah.
We started. Tell us a little about that, because I know you're one of the founders of CorVel University, and how did that come to be, and what's your role there, and how's it going today?
Sure. So Marie Gomez and I work on CorVel University. First class was in September of 23. We have a class that's going to start here next week. Really excited about it. The reason we started it was essentially we've noticed that the claim industry was getting older. People weren't dying to get into claims management. Wasn't very exciting. You walk around claim offices and people were closer to retirement than they were to the beginning of their career. So we need to get some fresh blood in, some fresh perspectives. We're able to do that through CorVel University. Bring people in with little to no claim experience, make sure they can learn the basics, and then we release them to the claim offices for continued training from there on. So bringing in some fresh perspectives, some young folks into the market, and it's been really successful. The retention rate has been over 85%. Most of the graduates have gone on to manage indemnity desks, so really happy about what we've been able to achieve.
Yeah, it's I was a claims professional myself, and I went through a carrier's training program.
Sure.
And I know in recent years it seems like it's died. That type of training has really kind of died off, and so it's refreshing to see us to kind of have a back to the basics approach, if you will. But it's more than just training. There's a recruitment aspect to that, I think, right? Where we're finding people out in creative area, and I say that knowing, I've been a mentor to up and coming risk management professionals myself, and they just don't think about claims.
Yeah.
Like the 4-year grads, so they're not maybe as easy to find as they used to. So how are we, finding some of these talented individuals that we are?
Sure. So not everyone has a 4-year degree, and but one of the things that has been really successful, that the traits that people have are they're other-centered. So a lot of times people in customer service with that type of background find themselves very easy to kind of fit into the claim perspective of how can I help you? So it's really just focusing on the person on the other side of the phone to make sure that we take care of them as well as possible.
Thank you for the work there. It's certainly making a difference.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So you talked a little about your role and some things you're doing at Corvell. So what are the things that keep you here? About Corvell that maybe are unique.
Yeah, so I feel supported every day. So for me, it's the culture. It's who I get to work with, folks like yourself that can be supportive along the way, but also mentors in my role. So just the support that I feel in general throughout the organization is important. It keeps me here for sure.
So you said mentors. So I believe mentors are important for folks as they grow in an organization.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can go back and remember certain people in my career that certainly changed the course of. There's a couple of people I wouldn't be sitting here today without them. So the mentors, coaches, people that we look up to in this business, certainly important. And I believe we have a few people here that I would say are classic mentors and leaders that have been here years and years. So it's exciting. Are you ready for some questions?
Let's jump in.
All right, let's do it. When people talk about improving claim outcomes, what do they usually focus on that doesn't actually move the needle on the day-to-day basis?
Yeah, it's difficult. A lot of folks focus on factors that I call lagging indicators, right? So claim duration, average incurred, how long did it take you to contact somebody? But really, I think you need to focus on the things that impact those numbers, impact those outcomes. So instead of how long did it take me to make that contact, was it a quality contact? Did I check the box, or did I actually make a good investigation on that claim? Did I set reserves appropriately as different things came up along the way? I found out about a surgery, or I found out about a return to work. Did I change the reserves at that point in time, or did I wait to do it? Litigation rates, really engaging with the injured worker is what is going to impact those outcomes in the end. So if I can reserve accurately at the beginning, if I can make a quality contact with the injured worker or the claimant, and then a thorough investigation at the beginning, and not be judged on how quickly it happened, but the quality of how it happened, that's going to impact those lagging indicators in the end.
Yeah. In quality, it's not as easy to measure, perhaps. You got any thoughts or suggestions on how we could define like a quality contact, or how you could even measure or train around that, perhaps?
Sure. So you can train around it, absolutely. There are certain aspects that you're going to want to cover whenever you make a good contact. So confirm the details of the incident to make sure that they mesh with what the employer is telling you, but then just make sure every box is checked along the way. Are there any subrogation opportunities or tender opportunities within this claim? Is there an opportunity for a return to work earlier than maybe we initially thought? Make sure the reserves are set appropriately at the beginning. So the investigation is not just one piece, but it's several pieces together that make up the investigation.
Yeah. Is it safe to say it's sometimes a common sense approach to claims?
Absolutely.
I have a friend he's a client and a friend of mine that he'll say that it's more about common sense than checking a box.
Yep. Keep it simple.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Was there a moment in your career where you're watching the real claims work, if you will, or teams that really changed how you think about what actually drives outcomes?
Yeah. So, one thing that when you see a team work well and they're managing claims and they're being effective, one thing that seems to be common amongst all of those teams is autonomy, right? The client has trust in the claims team to do their job. And they share their vision, the client does, for what they think the program should be. Not a claim by claim management of the program, but this is our vision. The claim specialists understand it, the claim managers understand it, and we all work towards that vision. There are going to be claims that don't work out the way any of us want them to, but making sure that we keep that vision and strategy in mind as we're working through those claims, and just a partnership between the two. We use that word a lot. And creating that partnership is built on trust. And it goes both ways. So supporting each other along the claim management process, knowing that not everything is going to go the way we want it to go, but understanding that and supporting each other along the way.
Well said. We were both account managers. Put you on the spot a little bit here. I know you're not account manager today, but what role do you believe the account manager plays into that that strategy piece that we're talking about?
Sure. They have to help communicate that vision and
Yeah.
strategy to the claim team. Because sometimes it doesn't flow from the client all the way down to the claim specialist or the claim team. So it stops sometimes at the account manager. So they need to kind of continue to reinforce that vision and that strategy so that everyone understands it.
Yeah. Communicating with clarity is what I would
Right.
say. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one thing when I was an account manager, always including the claims staff in the higher level results that are being produced, helping them see the big picture. And sometimes it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day as a claims professional, and is what I'm doing really making a difference? And when you include them into those stewardship type of conversations and the results, I think it makes a difference.
Yeah,
Would you
absolutely.
agree? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. You got to know why you're doing it.
Absolutely. When you look at a claim or workflow, what signals tell you whether outcomes are likely to improve or even struggle?
I think one indicator of whether or not a claim is going down the right path or workflow is going to work is how closely the claim specialist is working with the injured worker or the claimant, making sure that there's some type of engagement there and at regular intervals, right? So at the beginning of the claim, obviously, initial contacts, but then at other pivotal events like return to work or estimates for a repair or a surgery, you want to make sure that you anticipate questions and that they're answered beforehand so that you can avoid potential litigation, things like that. You may not always be able to do that, but as much as you can, have those conversations. So that's one thing that I think is critical whenever you want to make sure you have a good workflow.
Yeah. Hearing maybe a theme of early intervention. Is there, how would you describe early intervention in a claim? A successful early intervention, is it that nurse in a workers' comp incident answering the phone, and maybe on the liability side, because it is important. I think you agree, to get the claim started off on the right foot. Any thoughts or examples there?
Yeah. So on the work comp side, having a nurse advocate for the injured worker at the beginning of the claim is important. It's someone that doesn't have that adversarial relationship or that perceived adversarial relationship with the claim specialist. Yeah. So it's just a nurturing voice and someone that can kind of put you at ease with the process. Yeah. So that's important, I think. On the liability side, it's just as important for the claim specialist to try and establish that connection. It's sometimes more difficult. And in those cases, you need to have the client actually have that connection as well, to let them know that you're a guest in our store, for example. You're very important to us. You help keep our lights on. So you're important to us. Their brand is their most important thing to them, so they want to protect that. So having that early engagement with the claimant as well in a liability case is critical.
Yeah, I like what you said there about brand reputation, brand protection. And because reputation, it takes years to build, but it can be torn down quickly.
Absolutely.
So would you say that the big picture, there's a lot of small things that happen, but big picture from your seat or my seat in the company we represent, is brand protection on behalf of our client one of the more important pieces to the liability program?
Yeah, I think that's at the forefront because that's their most valuable asset. Right? If their brand, like you said, can be torn down in a matter of days, and we've seen it happen, and it's devastating. Yeah.
All right. If someone out there is listening and they want to go back and improve outcomes quickly tomorrow, is there like one small change that you would recommend that they could implement that would make a meaningful difference?
Yeah. So it's going to sound like a broken record. But really, it's engagement with the claimant, the injured worker, the claimant, making sure that you have that contact up front and you explain the entire process to them to avoid any questions going forward. Because if you don't explain everything up front and you know that there are questions down the road, getting a hold of each other can be difficult. Yeah. So get it all out while you have them on the phone and make sure that they understand the process. And from a client perspective, it's important to make sure that, like I said earlier, the people that are managing your claims understand your vision and strategy so that you can manage the claim from a higher, profile than claim by claim.
I think I'm hearing that communication word again.
Absolutely.
Clarity of communication on the employer side, perhaps with their employees and the team members, and then communication with the Corvells of the world, the partners, the carriers, so everyone is connected. And
it's a partnership.
Yes, true partnership. Working toward a single goal. That's right. That's right. All right, last question for you.
Okay.
And you can get a little personal if you want to. That's okay.
Okay.
What's a belief that you hold, a personal belief you hold about the industry that shapes how you lead or make decisions?
Sure. So use something that's very topical right now, artificial intelligence. You hear a lot about it.
Everyone's talking about that.
Right. Yeah. And it scares some people, right? Where's my job? What's going to happen with my job? What's going to happen with my role? How's it going to change? So really, all it's going to do is increase the efficiencies within the system. So it's really a decision support tool is kind of how I refer to it. So it'll reduce time frames that it takes for things to get done. It'll present the claim specialist or even the employer with decisions to make quicker along the way, but it's never going to remove the human element. So we're never going to get away from actually managing claims. We're not going to manage them any differently per se. We're not going to be doing tasks. We're not going to be checking boxes. We're going to be making decisions. And they're going to be presented to us through a set of data or claims by AI and helping us sort through some of the minutia. But at the end, a human's going to have to make those decisions.
I like what you said. And what comes to mind, go back to that retention again. With the tools, I go back when I was a claims professional, I would have loved to have all of these artificial intelligence tools, predictive modeling, and the things that, we're slowly taking more and more of that, the small task away. But could that play into retention? From let's say from an adjuster perspective, and giving them those tools to be the best at what.
Sure, it allows them to focus on the core competencies, right? Which is and what they want to do, which is resolve claims, settle claims, get people back to work, get their cars fixed, build partnerships with the clients and with the injured workers.
I totally agree. Well, Ryan, wonderful conversation. It's always a pleasure to sit down with you. I know we're going to continue having these conversations out in the market. Hopefully spark some ideas, and we'll get a few questions here and there, but I look forward to hitting the road with you to talk about these very topics this year in
Sounds
2026. Good. So thank you for joining. Always a pleasure, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.